as the iconic music plays in the background. I know. I always like to start the show just by saying something ridiculous to see how you'll react. It's like, what? No, I know. I know it's dumb. I'm not trying. Listen, the whole formality is out the window now with me. I'm just,
Who needs formality? Come on. Exactly. It's golf, for gosh sakes.
If you've downloaded the show, you know that it's Swing Thoughts. Okay, so you didn't do that by mistake. Like, what is this? What's this thing that just showed up?
How come I'm hearing Dire Straits?
That's right. Why is this song playing? And these two, why won't they two of them stop talking so I could hear Mark Knopfler? Double four time.
He's a great guitar player.
Oh, no, he is.
I don't think we've talked about it. I bet you'd be a good golfer, too.
Yeah, maybe. It's Swing Thoughts, and welcome to it. He's Tim. I'm Howard. We golf. We talk about golf. I'm golf spiritual leader because
he says so.
Because I say I am, and so shut it. You know what? If you don't follow me, that's fine. I'm my own. Listen, I've got a constituency of one right now. Right now, I'm up to one follower.
Don't sell yourself short.
Come on. For my spiritual. When it comes to my spiritual leadership, right now I've got one follower, and it's me, and that's the only follower.
No, you have acolytes who virtually want to touch the hem of your garment.
Tim OConnor is a golf coach of some renown. He is at least the best mental performance coach in his home and at other places too.
Yeah.
And we are excited today. What a show we've got for you. You're probably like, I wonder what Tim and Howard are going to say about the golf demic. We'll get to it. I want to mention before we start, though, that the program is brought to you, as always, by TaylorMade. Experience that drives every golfer wants to hit and no golfer wants to follow with the all-new Sim 2 driver only from TaylorMade. TaylorMadeGolf.ca. And, of course, our apparel is generously supplied by Jonathan Wong. And he's here with us, as you can see, JonathanWongInc.com. Before we get started, guys, though, do you ever tee off on the first hole of a golf match or a round, and you're about like halfway through the fairway, and you realize you left your putter on the practice green, and you have to wave down the ranger, or you have to run back and get it yourself? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Or you left a wedge beside number 17.
Yeah. Exactly. We've all done that. So before we introduce Jonathan formally, you guys, you talk amongst yourselves. I got to go turn something off.
Oh.
No, I'm serious. So I just left something on the putting green, and I'll explain when I come back. But you just talk to Jonathan for a second. Very, very formal.
Okay, yeah, so that's our show. Yeah, well, we improvise because that's sometimes what you do in life and in golf. But John, before we hit record, in reference to the golf demic, man, let's just get right to it. Boy, some dumb things that the premier of our province said yesterday. Oh boy, about the whole. One of the reasons they've shut this golf thing down is, oh well, we don't want people to have beers and stuff together afterwards. My God, talk about selling us short on brains. Golf courses have been following these strict protocols. When you're done, off you go. I don't know. What did you think when you heard or read that?
Yeah, I think last year we proved that, we can play golf and it's safe. There were a lot of restrictions going on. You showed up 50 minutes before your tee time. You left right after it. So, I just think the comments the premier made yesterday were, he says golf is safe, but then he goes and says mobility is an issue when I live a kilometer from my golf course. It's not a big issue, and it's affecting, my business and my livelihood. It's just hard to deal with, really.
I know, because it just seems like Howard, we were talking about the stupid comments that Ford made yesterday. That part of the reason they shut down golf is because golfers, they might be, I don't know, what do you call it, carpooling to go to the golf course? No. and that they're hanging around having beers afterwards. No.
Yeah.
So I just think it's more sort of the making it up as they go along type of rationalization of a stupid decision that they regret making, but now that they made it, they can't find a way to get out of it.
85% of, by the way, I'm back now. I went away.
Welcome
and I
back.
Came back.
And I'm curious, but it's up to you if you want to share
Well,
what.
no, here's the thing. I work. I have a studio. People can see I work in a studio here that we built in my townhouse in Toronto. And what we do is during the show, during the Humble and Fred show back here, during that we always shut off the air because you could hear the sound of it. So as we started the show, I'm a little bit nervous. You guys could hear me when we first started, right? You could hear me speaking to you?
Yes, I could, loud and clear,
All
and I
right.
still do.
Okay. Well, 85% of rounds of golf in Ontario last year were played within a very everyone played in their own, sort of home course. Jonathan, you live close to your course. I played most of my rounds at one place last year, which was unusual for me. But the rationale behind all of it is curious. And I just came in at the end there, Jonathan. So it's impacting your business. It's impacting everyone in the business's business.
Sure. Excuse me. Yes. Most of my business, I sell across Canada, but my biggest market is Ontario. So for sure, it's affected my business. People aren't ordering, shops aren't open, people aren't selling products. So it's definitely a struggle a bit in a way.
Weren't a lot of the orders for your Jonathan Wong Apparel? And by the way, if you want to see some of the stuff, it's jwapparelinc.com, and we'll talk about some of the brands that you rep. Were a lot of stuff, was it already in place, or was it just getting ready to be shipped?
No, most of the product is already in shop, but with golf courses closed and pro shops closed, it's interesting. People last year that were inventive and that did different things, like do online shops or put product outside, did very well last year. And we were expecting the same thing to happen this year with a very good year, but this shutdown has affected everybody. So it's not a great thing for business.
No.
There's a lot of money out there in golf, and it's being affected drastically.
$6 billion is what the amount of money spent in Ontario on golf. 110,000 people make their business, living in the business, 800 golf courses. And, I talked about this a lot on the Humble and Fred show this past week, and I got a bit of pushback from our audience in a weird way because they were like, we had Bob Weeks on one day, and so we spent about 25 minutes talking to Weeks about this whole thing, and then we spent about 15 minutes afterwards talking about, golf in general. And so some of the pushback was, oh, yeah, it's easy, you're bummed because it affects you. And I said, it's not just me. It's my friend Tim. It's Jonathan Wong. It's Sean Casey. It's Charles Fitzsimmons. And on. It's Mike Grierson, Mike Marshall. It's ClubLink. It's all the people in my life.
Kids who work in back shops, for gosh sakes.
No, but I'm saying in my world, in your world, in our world, yeah, lots of other people have been affected by the pandemic. But in this case, it's people that I know and deal with every day, just as you two do. And so I think, it's so easy to go, oh, golf, it's elitist, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's real people like Tim and Jonathan and Sean and all the people that I deal with that lives are being disrupted.
Yeah, and in a really serious way, too, in terms of when you look at golf courses, they operate on pretty thin margins because the expense of running a golf course is so high in terms of all the equipment to mow the lawns, cut the greens, and never mind all the inputs and everything. So you got to be bringing in some cash to help offset that stuff. And so there was someone from the Northern Ontario Golf Association a couple of days ago saying that, you know what, this could really make or break a lot of basically mom and pop golf courses. And the majority of golf courses in this province are not these private golf courses. They're public. They're many of them are family owned, 9-hole courses. And if they're not bringing in cash, folks, that is a tough spot to be in.
8% of Ontario golf is on private courses. The rest is on golf courses that cost between $50 and $75 a round, which if you think about it, if the three of us and our buddies were renting ice, it's about $30 an hour. So, do the mathematics. But you know what, guys? And I'm going to talk about this with Tim once we get into the Tim and Howard portion later. But, let's take the next few minutes and just talk about something other than the negative part of this. Let's talk about, I've been around this game since I was 11 years old. I worked at a golf course in Moose Jaw, and I've been around pro shops. And I got to tell you, Jonathan, I don't know that I've ever seen nicer golf stuff. Let me put it this way, nicer, affordable golf stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is very, like, Tim and I are we wearing the same color stuff?
I think we are. I think for just so everyone knows, I'm wearing a Fairways and Green Owen striped tech polo. And the color is not just blue, it's sea spray.
I think I'm wearing it's bead ratty. I don't have the details, but I think it's blue.
It is blue.
Am I wearing
I'm
the same
glad
one
I'm
as you,
dealing
Jonathan?
with two colorblind. I've never dealt with two colorblind people before in my life. I may have to script you every show like the majors and make sure you're wearing the right things.
That would be smart.
It could get difficult, but
my wife put this together. She said she just went into the closet and go, this and this.
Kevin,
thank God.
It's funny you say that, because when all the stuff arrived, my girlfriend Rachel was here, and she said, okay, I'm going to put it in the closet in color gradients. And I just looked at her. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she showed me. She put them all as the colors gradual and how the stuff fit together. But to my point about how nice everything is, like, where does this stuff that you rep, the bead ratties, the Royal Albatross, the Fairway and Green, etc., where does it fit into sort of the consumer? What are you looking to market to?
Well, I deal with 7 different companies. So the whole point of my business, Jonathan Wong Apparel, is to offer clothing for all demographics, for men's and ladies from head to toe. So, Summit Golf Brands offers Fairway and Green, which is a 25-year-old company, EP Pro, which is one of the highest selling ladies brands in North America. Bead Ratty is a new brand for them that they created themselves by the designer Billy Dratty at Summit Golf Brands. And then Zero Restriction, which is an amazing outerwear line that offers great layering pieces. And then on top of that, I offer Garb, which is a kids exclusive line. So they only make kids clothing, which I think is a segment in golf that is underserved. Kids are usually a second thought with regard to most big brands. So Garb only makes product for, from toddler or infant to teen. And then Royal Albatross is my shoe line, which is an Italian-made handmade leather shoe line, which says it all. It's a great line that can be worn on and off the golf course. And then PRG adds that accessory collection, which is totally exclusive accessories that can be made to order for your golf course. So I think I incorporate all aspects of golf and all demographics for people to purchase from.
One of the things that Howard and I have both noticed is that as he mentioned, this strikes me as like higher level. Now, in terms of the way it feels, the way it wears, it just seems to be like a higher level than I'm used to wearing. But does that necessarily mean it's like expensive and out of reach? What do you think?
No, we are kind of Summit Golf Brands is basically a mid price point, mid to higher price point in most pro shops. We have high end product that can be offered to Bill Bedrati is a higher end shirt collection that's a little more expensive than other things, but ZR has their most expensive golf out outerwear, and then they have mid price point outerwear. So it's for a lot of different demographics and a lot of different price points.
But I think that one of the key things is about this type of apparel is that you get great value out of it.
Yeah.
We've all had pullovers, sweaters, shirts. You wear them one season and they're done.
I was just going to say that.
But these I think they're going to last for a couple of years at least and more.
Well, and that's the thing, Jonathan, before you, that whatever the price of these are, they're definitely a cut above, not to be cliche, but they're definitely different than what we would normally wear as golfers. And I think Tim's making a good point there, that you get what you pay for, and not only the durability of it, but they just look good. And they're whatever. What is this material? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's all about quality with regard to Summit Golf brands and all the brands I carry. Right, it's important that the quality is great, and the consumer is getting value for what they pay for.
This is, by the way, I'm happy to have this conversation. This is the longest I've discussed my golf outerwear with anyone, but I think it's fascinating. Again, the fact is, golf fashion has changed. You've been in this business a long time, Jonathan, as we have. And you just said something about garb and how normally kids' clothing was like an afterthought. I think golf fashion was like an afterthought for a long time.
It was an oxymoron for a long time.
Well, absolutely. But it's still kind of, with the cliche about golfers wearing mismatched stuff. But how have you seen fashion change within the golf industry in the time that you've been doing it?
I think it's a huge part of the golf business. I got into this business because I love clothes and I love golf. So that created my passion to start this, and I've been doing it now for 18 years. So I think you see the influences from both the PGA Tour with regard to fashion. Jesper made a big statement when he was out on tour with regard to fashion. And I think, people want to look good on the golf course, and, the saying you look good and you play good is definitely an important aspect.
It's interesting that you mentioned Jesper, because I think the European players, generally I think they dressed better than the American players.
Definitely.
Because you would see brand names like Boss and other European brands on European players. But I think they've caught up on the PGA Tour, especially the younger guys now, and the fashion that they wear. Is there a danger? I don't think that's the right word. Where guys our age, this stuff seems very appropriate for us. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like I'm trying to look too young. It's sort of age appropriate as opposed to like skinny jeans and that stuff.
The jogger pants.
That's right. We're not wearing jogger pants anytime soon.
Yeah,
Connor.
Yeah, my brands offer clothing for all age groups, right? Stripes are very popular these days, but Fairway offers some amazing prints. Bedrati offers great prints. I think that's the biggest trend right now, is a lot of printed shirts with neat designs on it, and you wear that with a solid short and you look great on the golf course. So,
but I think also
it's age appropriate for anybody.
Okay. Yeah, but I also think that these things are really, they're stylish, but I think the better word is classy. All these shirts, all these shirts we got from you, it's really changed now in how we dress in the, in the office and all that kind of thing. And particularly during a pandemic, you still want to look good. So what I think about this apparel, Fairway and Green, Bedrati, etc. Gosh, you could wear those, to a big meeting you have, and then go straight to the golf course. So it's efficient too.
Yeah. you could wear it on the golf course, pretending you're at a big meeting. Next week, we're going to be giving away some stuff for the PGA. During the majors this year, we're trying once again to do some Swing Thoughts giveaways, and Jonathan has graciously donated something to our prize pack. We're not sure what it is. It's going to be a polo or something. So next week, we'll give you details on how you can win something from jwapparelinc.com. I want you to go and check out some of the stuff, because the three of us are wearing some of the stuff, but you got to go and see all these lines that we're talking about, whether it's the EPNY, BDRADI zero restriction, which, by the way, that over, what do you call it? It's like a jacket with soft sleeves.
Shell. Yeah.
Thank you. I just thought to myself, it's like, who thought of that? Because normally you wear a jacket and the arms are restricted. And then I'm like, oh, that's why they call it zero restrictions.
There you go.
I'm like, I'm a genius. Because
golf spiritual leader.
I know, the arms are soft, but the shell is shell. And then I was like, oh, that's why Jonathan's in the business. All right. Well, listen, Jonathan, we're going to let you go. But before we do, and I haven't run this by Tim because I didn't get a chance to before, but I want to start a new segment, and maybe Tim and I will do it later by ourselves, called What Are You Working On? Because you're a golfer. Every golfer, I know we're a mental performance show, Tim, but believe me, we love golf swings. So you're Jonathan's a low handicap golfer. Even though it's the pandemic, the golf-demic, no one's playing, what are you working on?
I am working on my short game.
There you go.
I've had a couple of issues with my short game last couple of years. So
Really?
I am in the backyard working on my chipping. I've got a net in my backyard, which I hit into on a daily basis, and always working on something. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there you go. So there's nobody that we'll have on this show that, you know what? It's funny. Years ago, I lived in Los Angeles, and there was a study or an article that came out in one of the local papers, and the reporter walked up to 100 people on Hollywood Boulevard and said, "How's your screenplay coming?" And 75 of them went, "Oh, it's good. Here's what I'm working on. So the golfers are like people in LA. We're always working on something. Jonathan, thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
And
look
thank you
forward
for
to, giving away something next week.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on board as our sponsor this year. It's great to have you on board. Great to partner with you, and it's fun to look great and classy on this show. So thank you.
I'm gonna play you off like it's a 1960s talk show. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Wong from Jonathan Wong. Thank you very much, Jonathan Wong. Everybody.
Thank you.
See you, John. Take care, man.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Now featuring sound effects. All right. Thank you.
That was fun.
I'm a little worried.
Yes.
I'm a little worried that it's only a small worry. I was a little worried that my mic wasn't recording at the beginning.
Nope.
And then
I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're worried about like your little recorder thing?
I don't know. We'll see. But when we're done, we'll check it, and then we'll see.
Okay. It's okay.
You know, I think it's easy.
Breathe.
I think it's really easy to lean into, being negative about this golf thing because it really does affect so many people we know,
mm-hmm.
and it affects us. I was trying to explain that to the audience. I said, because it was interesting how
Your Humble and Fred audience.
Yeah, when I say I got some pushback, it was weird. It was almost like, what are you talking about golf so much for? I'm like, shut up. But I tried to explain the next day. I said the reason we talk about it is because it really does impact not just my can't play golf, Howard. It's also, I'm in the golf business. All my friends are in the golf business. I talked to OConnor. I talked to Sean Casey. I talked to Mike Grierson. I talked to everybody. And it's a drag.
Absolutely. And those those things affect us. When it starts to affect our friends and
Yeah.
the people we deal with, then it hits us in a real way. And that's the way it works in life until we start to feel these things. Then it's just sort of like, oh yeah, I understand that if you're a flight attendant for WestJet and you're down the seniority pool, well then I guess it's not going very well for you.
Yeah.
But you can't. It's almost like until you walk a mile in someone's shoes, you can't understand what's going on for them.
That's very, you know what? That's exactly the point I was sort of making. And it's like, I understand. I live on a busy street in Toronto. I know lots of businesses have been shut down. Of course, we have empathy for that. But as you just said, until it hits home, then it becomes your issue. Years ago, we used to have this thing on the Humble and Fred show where, we would offend people, and everyone would laugh and laugh until it was the thing we offended about you. You know what I mean? Until we made a joke about something that affected you. It's like, oh, I didn't. So you thought when we were making fun of the cancer people, that was funny, but this isn't funny because it's lupus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
That's not very well explained, but you get the idea.
I get it. Yeah. Well, we are professional communicators.
Maybe.
I didn't explain that very well, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I want to get into this now or when we finish talking with our speed guy. But before this little business here, TaylorMade next week has given us. We're going to give away a couple of 2-ball samplers, a TaylorMade hat, a Masters putter cover, and
Cool.
then we'll give away some Jonathan Apparel stuff. It'll be a nice little PGA Championship prize package from your friends at Swing Thoughts. Thank you. There we go.
Love that.
What are you working on?
Oh, mostly on, I've been putting. So I have this little routine that when I come into my office, I do a set of push-ups. And so while I am recovering and breathing harder than normal, I hit 3 putts. And what I putt on about a 40-inch steel ruler, which a little deal I learned from you.
Golf spiritual leader.
Absolutely. And I'm finding that most of the time I keep about 80% of the balls on that little ruler all the way till they hit my target.
It's beautiful. It's not easy either.
No, it's not. But I'm working on a thing that I've been doing in this webinar I do called Quiet Eyes, and just focusing on my eye on the back of the ball, let the putt go, but my eyes are still where the back of the ball was.
Right.
And I'm just amazed how well I hit the ball. Well, actually, you know what? It goes in line with what we've talked about with other things about focus of attention. So if I have my focus of attention on that ball, I'm not thinking all this stuff, and my body just goes and it hits lovely putts that ride along that ruler.
Yeah, it's crazy how much your eyes affect not only the way you putt, the way you release the club in a full swing. It's interesting that we're having Ryan Robillard on from SuperSpeed. He's our next guest because I've had the SuperSpeed sticks now for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I lent them to a friend a couple of winters ago. I got them back this winter.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I've been doing. I got these on Amazon. They're really cheap. They're like $30 for these bands. No, not the Super Speed. I'm saying. So I've been using these bands. So and I do these golf stretches, and our boy Brooke Benny Bamalam, has given me a series of exercises. But I've started to incorporate the Super Speed sticks again.
Cool.
This is going to sound super geeky, but
this is the show for golf nerds.
So I bought I'm such a freaking geek here. I bought a PRGR monitor. It's like a swing speed monitor. It's a couple $100, size of a cell phone. And it's interesting. This is all kind of coming together with Ryan. So SuperSpeed recommends this for indoor training. And what you do is you use the sticks and it will read your club head speed.
Far out.
Yeah, man. So you can use it outside and you can hit balls with it. And it's like a sort of a rudimentary TrackMan. But it will give you ball speed, club head speed, carry, and distance. That's all you really need. I mean, it's not giving you like angles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I started using that before the pandemic shut down part 2, just because I thought, I've got these, I have the supers, I have the speed sticks, and I have this Brooke Benny training that I've been doing. And then it's just been interesting to see, using these sticks indoors, if it makes any difference on your club head speed. And it's been kind of fun.
Yeah. And why do it outside when you can risk taking out your drywall?
Oh, no, exactly. Well, the thing is, with the sticks, you're not really hitting anything. But I was trying to hit balls inside a couple of days ago when I first got the monitor because I wanted to try it out. It doesn't work as well. But I took it outside, and I got it from Casey, and I took it outside. Really, all I want to know, and I think this is good information for any golfer, is I just want to know how far the ball goes, like for real.
Yeah.
Like how far do I carry my 8-iron? Not how far do I think I do? Or, more importantly, not my range distance. What's sort of my average distance? So I've been working on that.
That's good stuff to know. I mean,
it is good stuff to know.
Well, Dustin Johnson, isn't part of his, I think the story around his uptick in performance over the last couple of years is, I think, before every round, he gets his little Porto TrackMan thing out and how far I'm hitting his various wedges today.
Yep.
And that just is that's so cool, because that kind of just feeds into the whole Lee Trevino thing, dance with the one that brung you that day. So boy, what's happening that day. That's what you go with. That's just makes so much sense.
It used to be the exception that a tour player would have his TrackMan on the range, especially before a round. But now I think it's the rule. I mean, I've seen some video or some shots recently of guys warming up, and they've all got something there, whether it's the TrackMan or that other one I think is called Foresight or Foresight. Yeah.
Yep.
But this is a little. Isn't it crazy? I think it's PRGR. Ryan will know, because I think it's the one that SuperSpeed recommends, I think.
Oh, okay.
But it's a small monitor, honestly, and you sort of set it up, and it's got like you point it generally at the direction you're hitting, and it gives you this information, and that's what I want to use it for, so that every few rounds I just want to know, how far am I hitting my gap wedge, because as the season changes, like on a nice day like this, you're you might be hitting it further, and again, for guys like you and I, a couple of yards isn't. I just want to know within 5 yards or 10 yards.
But that makes a difference. There are days in which you're going out there and you first couple of holes, and it's like comes up really short or long, and you go like, oh, ball's not going as far today.
Exactly.
That's good stuff to know. And sorry, you're smiling, so go ahead.
No, I'm just smiling. Go ahead, finish. I just, what funny is you and I had a conversation about our clothes. Now we're talking about wedge distances. This is why I love this show. It's all I want to do all day. I wish this show was 9 hours long.
Like I say, it's a show for golf geeks.
No, I know.
Nerds.
Please continue.
Yeah, I had my son said the other day, what was it? Something about, we're talking about music or something. He goes, "You are such a nerd." I goes, "Thank you."
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am. I'm a freaking nerd.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway. Well, you know what, how this connects to me about this, knowing how far you hit your wedge and whatnot, that flows so nicely into what we've been talking about the last few weeks. To me, is when you start to understand how technology and having more data can help you versus getting hamstrung or caught up in it, it just makes so much sense. Like just the whole idea that if you put your golf course or where you like to play on Google Earth and you took a look and go, holy cow, I didn't know the landing area was that small there. So maybe I'll hit 3-wood now. Or, geez, I have more room than I thought. I can hit driver on this hole. That's just from more knowledge.
Well, and that's really, when Webb Simpson was interviewed after the Masters and he was asked about Will Zalatoris, and just sort of the general question was, why are young players coming on the PGA Tour now and having an impact right away. And there's a million reasons. Some of the more obvious ones are college golf now is, if you're in the top 50 amateurs on planet Earth, chances are you can win a PGA Tour event. I mean, that's how good these kids are. But one of the things that Webb Simpson said is he said these kids are coming out with course knowledge techniques like a decade, so that they're able to get a golf course they've never played before. And because of the technique of mapping it out decade styles, you can have a pretty good sense of where you should hit it before you ever play the golf course, to your point.
Yeah, so there's no excuse. You wouldn't get to a golf course and say, well, I don't know the course. Well, it's so easy.
You sound a little bit, by the way, you sound a little bit like Mo there for a second. There's no excuse. There's no excuse if you go to a golf course. You should be prepared. You did a little Mo channeling there this morning. Very nice.
Yeah, well, that happens from time to time, I'm told. But, I mean, again, we come back to golf, geeking out on golf. The young people that are on my university golf team, this is stuff that they do. Before you go to a tournament, you'll hear them, in the days when you could ride in a van together about, I was looking last night and I see number 15 is kind of weird and this and 16. And you can use the technology to learn more. And there's our little sound.
I just want you to know, if we have time, because I don't know how long, let's do like 15 with him, because there's some stuff I want to talk about after, which is I spent an hour or two with Lou Stagner this past week.
Cool.
Getting a decade five. There he is.
Morning.
And I've got a couple of, when we're just after our next guest, I'm going to tell you, I've got some, I want to finish off with something I call stats and expectations. Okay. Because I was given some more stats. This is PGA of Canada teaching professional and the Canadian sales director for SuperSpeed Golf, Ryan Robillard. There you go. That's new.
Thank you for the emphatic introduction.
Yeah, we're all going with some new stuff here today.
Yeah, we're going with some new stuff. We're wearing matching shirts, so that's not geeky. we didn't mean to. Don't judge us, Ryan.
You should have sent me the memo. I don't have a striped shirt on. I got a block shirt on underneath.
Well, one day when you're as hip as me and Tim here, you'll be.
Yeah. No, you're color coordinated with the hat. I know your deal.
Oh, I did. There was definitely a quick look in the mirror to make sure. Okay, blue. Okay.
Yeah, but you didn't look great, hair, man. Though. You got the hat. No hair issue.
So no, there's just not much hair under there. So
you can have 60 seconds to rant about the golf demic and what a horse's asshole Doug Ford is and how he's riding in a car. First of all, just for the record, I've been playing golf in Toronto for 30 plus years. I have never carpooled to the golf course. Maybe.
Yeah, I won't take 60 seconds. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It sucks. I can't wait for it to end.
Very well said, sir.
Concise. That's why you're a guest on this show.
Very good. I just revealed to Tim that I have been, I've had the SuperSpeed sticks for several years and used them. And then I lent them to a friend. He gave them back to me this winter. And I've started using them again in concert with is it PRGR or PRGR?
PRGR, yep.
Okay. What a great combination, because in my own home where I live and I have a whole golf laboratory, I can do my speed training and see on my little monitor if it's having any effect. Please discuss.
Yeah, it's I guess any training you want to do or any increases you want to make, you have to be able to quantify.
Yes.
And that's why we sell the PRGR. We feel it's one of the most, especially for the price point, like your $259 Canadian, your 200 US. In terms of a price point, it's super affordable, and just allows you to quantify. Like you said, you're in the middle of a training session and you think you're having a good day. I'm feeling fast today. Is this actually working? I've been working out a little bit more. I stretched this morning before my session. You're able to look back and say, ooh, I haven't seen 107 before. I'm on to something here. And I think
easy there, kid.
Yeah.
Okay, easy now. I'm only gonna say, because I was all like, I got up to 102 and suck it. So if I saw 107, I wouldn't be on this call. I'd be trying to Monday qualify on the super seniors.
But being able to see that, especially for a lot of players, most of us are competitive, and then you become competitive with yourself.
Yes.
Oh, well, last Friday when I trained, I was a little groggy. I had a couple pops in the parking lot after my round of golf with Doug's buddies, and I was a little slow. Well, but today I'm feeling better. I had a good breakfast. I'm going to get after it. And then you see the climb, and then that continues to feed your interest level and your wantingness to train and all that fun stuff.
Ryan, I want to ask you, how did you become involved in SuperSpeed? Was it in working in your own game? I know that you also help coach the Windsor Lancers golf team. How did you come to become interested in this? Was it seeing benefits with your own game or your teaching, or just how?
Yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting story. So I attended the 2016 World Golf Fitness Summit, which is put on by TPI. I became TPI certified in early 2016 and kind of became fascinated with understanding the body and in relation to how it affects our ability to make golf swings and physical limitations and all that fun stuff. So I decided to take a deep dive and say, you know what, I'm going to attend this World Golf Fitness Summit. I'm a golf pro with a bunch of fitness pros. And SuperSpeed Golf, I guess, being relative unknowns, that was kind of one of their big coming out parties or one of their big conferences that they attended, and was talking to them a little bit about their product and getting to understand their product a little bit. And we had a few conversations. So I decided to get a set. But at the time, they only did distribution in the US, and and we were kind of chatting. We had I believe we ended up going out for dinner, and they're like, so where are you located? And I give them the breakdown. They go, how close is that to Detroit? And I said, it's extremely close to Detroit. And they're like, well, would you be interested in maybe, like just shipping a couple sets, maybe answering a couple of emails? And I was like, sure. Okay. That sounds fine. And as it's continued to grow, a few orders has turned into a few hundred orders or a few thousand orders. And obviously they've continued to have massive growth. I think the 2016 was a good year for them. And then 2017 at the PGA show was kind of like their initial explosion. And then obviously it started to get a lot of traction on tour with tour players using it. And now it's on a very strong trajectory. It was one of the fortunate things that the pandemic and lockdowns, SuperSpeed training is something you could do on your own. You don't need a whole lot of space, especially if you have the ability to be outdoors in your yard or whatever it is. So I think that really propelled it to have a very strong 2020. Normally quite popular in the winter, kind of off-season training, then kind of levels off a little bit in the summer when people are out playing instead of training. But last year there wasn't a whole lot of playing. There was a lot more training going on. And the way it's going in Canada, it seems like it might be another training-filled summer as opposed to playing.
Okay, let's talk about the search for speed and trying to get more speed in your golf swing, which translates to more yardage, which translates to shorter approaches, et cetera, et cetera. But I just wonder, having gone through the protocols and now going through them again, I'm starting basically over because I've been back at it for a week or two. Two questions I want to ask. Because most of the men and women listening to this show, somewhere between 45 and 65, and have probably thought to themselves, okay, this is kind of it for me. The average male golfer, I just read this. I'm sorry, I'm full of stats these days, but I just read this. Average male golfer, I think it's either 213 or 220. I'm in that ballpark.
Correct.
As far as how far they hit their driver. So let's just use a round number. If I'm a guy that hits at 220 and my club head speed is 95 or let's say 90. If I'm 220 at 90 miles an hour, what do you say, Ryan, to somebody who's thinking about super speed? What could I achieve if I'm an average male or female going through the protocols?
So on average, what we see, and essentially it's a number that we've seen tested through our customers for years now, is on average, you see an initial gain in the first 6 weeks of about 5%. regardless if you're starting at 70 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour or 110. There's some players that gain like crazy percentages, 15% club head speed. There's some that gain 3% club head speed. But on average, we see 5%.
Pardon me, Ryan. So that's training for 6 weeks. How many times a week?
So the nice part about the nice part about our product and what we feel we have 3 times a week, and protocols take, including a warm up, 10 to 15 minutes, especially kind of once you get used to it. So for us, we don't want it to be a massive elaborative program, because we know that the average golfer that you referenced has no interest in doing that, or for the most part has very little interest. So if you tell them, okay, 3 days a week, after you have your coffee, before you go to work or after work, you get in your garage, you get in your space, you do our dynamic warm up, which takes 3 minutes. Level 1 protocol is 39 swings. Get in, swing as hard as you can, get out. 3 times a week, that's all we recommend. A lot of people say, oh, well, that seems kind of short. If I train more, can I get faster? The unique thing about what we're doing as opposed to, let's say, strength training or any type of running or anything like that, you feel soreness in your muscles because it's your muscles that you're working. What we're doing with SuperSpeed is we're trying to reprogram your neuromuscular reaction time.
Yeah.
That is the nerdy kind of term that we're trying to do. But the tricky part is that you cannot feel when that has been stretched or exhausted or anything like that. So you need the rest. It's like if you were to train with SuperSpeed every single day, because, oh, it's only 15 minutes, there's a very slim chance you would see any increase, because your nervous system needs the chance to rest and recover. So normally if someone says, well, lay out a plan for me, I say, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You take the weekend off, because weekend you're doing your own things. You come back Monday morning, you're fresh, you get after it. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 minutes, get in, swing hard, get out.
Love
if
that.
I may, I'm sorry,
ahead.
I just wanted a quick follow-up, unless you were going to go in this direction. I want Ryan to talk, because you sort of touched on it. There's a psychological barrier.
Correct.
And I never understood that about SuperSpeed, but I've been doing some reading that part of what it does is what you just touched on. There's a barrier of perceived speed that SuperSpeed breaks down.
Correct. And what we have, like, we didn't create overspeed training, but what we know, and we got this actually from other sports, is that everyone's brain essentially has a governor on it, and it's how fast your body feels comfortable doing a movement. So the reason why our SuperSpeed system is 3 clubs or 3 weights, 20% lighter, 10% lighter, 5% heavier, you reduce the weight to get your body moving quickly, and then your brain very quickly starts to realize, oh, I can make this movement at this speed comfortably, safely, all that fun stuff. What we normally notice, and I'll use round numbers, so let's say 100 miles an hour. Let's say I swing 100 miles an hour. If I grab the green club, which is 20% lighter, on average, day 1, we expect someone's going to be able to swing that about 117, 118 on their dominant side. So right off the hop, day 1, you're starting to make reps where your brain goes, okay, I'm recognizing this is a golf club or a golf program I'm running. I'm getting in posture. I'm making this backswing, but I've just made this quicker and everything was okay. And then we keep pushing and pushing. As you work through protocols, where we feel kind of rubber meets the road is you start light. So that guy who swings 100 goes 118 with the light club. Then we go medium. They start to swing 115, 114. But then we go heavy. That third club, which is 5% heavier, but since we primed the body, we started light, medium, heavy. You start swinging something that is heavier than your driver, faster. Day 1, we kind of expect 109, 111. So now the brain is saying, okay, I can move things quicker, even if they're heavier. And that is kind of where we start to reprogram the nervous system to understand that you can actually move quicker. You see it in other sports like javelin, football, baseball, any throwing sport where you're trying to speed up a part of your body. You reduce the load to get your brain to believe that, or to believe and understand that you can move quicker, and then reintroduce it. A sprinter wants to get faster. You have them run on a decline or on like downhill to get their legs moving faster, to understand, oh, I actually can move them faster. And then you go back to normal or stabilize afterwards.
Wow.
And then, and then another thing we get a lot of questions about is we do non-dominant swings, and non-dominant swings is kind of like a hot button issue with some people. Some people
You mean
think it's a good idea.
a right-hander swinging left-handed?
Yeah,
Correct.
that's part of the protocol, that you do all
Yep.
these swings all the way through the club's left-handed, in my case.
Correct. So two main reasons why we do that. Another one, or I would say the most important one, is called deceleration training, which your body can only accelerate as fast as it can decelerate. And the reason why you train your non-dominant side is, let's say that you're a right-handed golfer, and let's say you do a lot of driving with your left-hand side. Your right-hand side, over time, all what it does is, let's say, throw, right? Like, it just kind of fires around. It never absorbs any load, or not as much load. We flip the other side to, let's say we're going to balance out our body. So the ability to push and drive and fire with our right-hand side, let's get that going with our left-hand side as well. So we have a balanced body that recruits all muscles.
Okay.
You make a golf swing, you're only asking half of the body's muscles to fire in a certain way. You flip it around, you start to balance it out. So the term deceleration training is one that we believe is extremely important. Your body can only accelerate as fast as it can decelerate. If you can't hold your balance, as an example, your brain's never going to let you swing 130 miles an hour if you're going to fall over every time.
I've got some questions about those numbers here in a second, but go ahead, Timmy.
Howard was saying before you came on, Ryan, he loves doing this show because we could geek out.
I could do this 9 hours. We could do
exactly
this show
9 hours of talking about
fucking hours.
And once you get into this stuff,
This
I go
is the
like,
highlight of my day. Later, I'm going to be talking to my girlfriend about whether she wants me to buy outdoor furniture or not, and I'm going to try not to stab myself in the eyeballs.
But I'm hearing about this, this decelerate thing. Like, oh yes, this is so cool.
I must decelerate.
how this integrates. It's awesome. But so much of what we talk about on this show is, again, obviously this show is largely, for 6 years, talking about the mental game. To me, what's so interesting about this is that we're using our brain obviously integrated with our body. Everything starts in the brain. But I think what you're doing, Ryan, is allowing people to have an experience of something that they may not have experienced before, that has nothing to do with folding the right elbow or turning the left hip. Swing as hard as you can. And I think that my sense is, and what I want to bounce this off you, is this as much of allowing people to have an experience they may not have had before because they swing a little careful, they want to do, match this sort of model, but you're giving them an experience they may not have had before, and in which they may experience a new degree of freedom.
Abandon.
And yes, so I think.
Did you say abandon, Howard?
Yeah.
Swinging with abandon. Yeah.
Right, because a lot, like, as much as we think I want to swing as hard as I can, your body parts moving quickly is more like a subconscious thing as it is a conscious thing. You can tell yourself, well, I'm going to rotate as fast as I can, but you have that governor that's going to max out what you can do. So then so essentially you're almost training the subconscious so that when you get to that technical point, we'll make sure I take it wide, bring the elbow in tight, whatever those terms are, you're doing that after training your body to understand, well, I can do these things quicker. What we notice with a lot of people, because a comment that we get a lot is, well, yeah, gaining speed is fine, but what about accuracy?
Or solid hit.
Right, or solid contact. We actually notice it's actually quite rare that people become less accurate when they gain speed properly. When Mr. Jones stands on the first tee and just says, I'm going to try to swing as hard as I can, what do we see? We see his arms move as fast as they can. His body doesn't do anything. He's holding onto the club too tight and he wipes across it. As we go through our protocols, we actually work through 3 different segments, which we call the speed pyramid. And the different protocols, the step drill, the kneeling swings, heel stomp, double step. They train 3 levels of that pyramid: ground reaction forces, your ability to use the ground properly, shift weight, center of pressure, all that kind of fun stuff. Rotational sequencing, once you get your lower body and your weight moving properly, the ability to rotate the upper body, not tilt and throw like so many average golfers do. And then the third one is training the ability to create a little bit extra lag, or the ability to generate some lag based on top of that. It's not technique based, it's more movement, pressure, rotation based. And when people think of it that way, as opposed to don't roll the forearm, keep the elbow out, bring it up. What we notice with so many people, when your thoughts become very technical based, tension goes up, squeeze the grip. And we all know as soon as tension goes up.
We've been saying this for 6 years.
Right? As soon as tension increases, you're toast. You're going to hit shorter, more crooked. There's no denying that.
Well, I want you to come with me on a journey now.
Let's go.
Are we getting on a raft or anything, or is this sort of a mental thing?
I want you to come with a GSL on a journey.
Do I have to close my eyes and breathe?
You could.
Okay.
You could shut your eyes and shut your face at the same time. The journey is this. In the Fred Shoemaker Extraordinary Golf, one of the foundations, and Tim's taken the course in person, and I've absorbed it as I do. The idea of throwing a club, Fred's discovered this years ago, that when people throw a club down the fairway, all of a sudden all the technical shit that they've been reading about actually happens naturally, because there's a naturalness to the motion of throwing a golf club, which I've made. I'm, by the way, a +7 when it comes to throwing. So here's the journey. There's a feeling of abandon when you throw a golf club, as Fred Shoemaker has documented. And I will tell you from having some recent experience, once again, with the SuperSpeed sticks, is in order for me to swing as fast as I can, and isn't it interesting? That's one of the things, the first thing when you read about SuperSpeed, they want you to rip it as hard as you can on every swing in the protocol, left and right. But the first few swings I made, Ryan, I'm like, I wasn't thinking anything technical. I'm thinking, what do I have to do? What does my body have to do to swing this as hard as I can? And I got to tell you, they were good swings, but without me thinking about the things I'm working on, I was just thinking, okay, well, forget all that. I just have to let this go. And that was the journey, the combination of abandoning, the idea of just letting your body sense and feel what that is. How does that translate to the golf course?
So it's okay. My turn.
No, I was just let me ask two questions. No. How does it translate to the golf course, and how soon after starting the protocols are you seeing in the SuperSpeed world results on the golf course?
So day one, it depends when you do the training. If you do the training 15 minutes, if you go right to the golf course, you're going to have some of that club head speed that has retained. But if you correct, one day within a short window. If you do that training in the morning and then you go to work and you work for 8 hours and then go to the golf course and don't warm up, you're not going to see a whole lot, because it's impossible to say, okay, well, I trained once this morning, I should be faster this afternoon. But the reason why we say 5% in 6 weeks is because in 6 weeks, that's 18 sessions. Mm-hmm. We will see people swing faster after the end of session 1. But as you start to swing every other day and get some rest and recovery in there after 18 sessions, your brain has had 18 sessions in 6 weeks. Your body has as well. That's a lot of swings at this new speed. That is where we see you can carry that speed full time. But then there's something else that happens. And we have a lot of data on this. After about 6 weeks, we normally see players plateau, because you're not just going to incrementally increase club head speed forever. After about 6 weeks, that 5 to 8% increase in club head speed, we normally see a plateau, because that's when the body starts to say, okay, this new speed with the training I'm doing is my new normal.
That's what happens in fitness. That's what happens with weight training. The same thing.
Exactly. We're not making up something new. That is exactly what happens. You started at 100, you go at 105. You're not just going to keep going up. Mm-hmm. And we normally see that plateau phase will last about 6 to 8 weeks, which is kind of the duration of our level 2 protocol. And then after around kind of week 12 to 15, that's when you will see that second increase, which again can be about 5 to 8% increase in clubhead speed. But the point that Tim made as well, which is something I'll say, it's like anything. You have to commit the time to do it. We feel we've made it as easy as possible. It's 3 clubs. You grab it, you swing it. All the research is done for you. All the protocols are done for you. You just have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk to players that say, well, I haven't gained anything, we usually ask them the exact same questions. How often are you training? Did you warm up beforehand? And are you swinging with maximum intent? And usually there's a no in one of those 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we tell them to change.
Mm-hmm.
And then we never hear from them again, assuming because they've done it or they've done what they're supposed to do and they get back on track.
Ryan, I think you're making a reference to my accountability workshop that I gave at the PGA a couple of years ago. Around
100% though, 100%.
Yeah. Well, accountability is as I say during those workshops, it has a bad reputation. It's kind of like Buckley's cough syrup. It's like, woo.
It's good for you,
but it tastes.
It tastes awful, but it works.
Yeah, but when you flip it, that's the point of it. It's aspirational. And oh boy, if you're talking about grabbing a club 3 days a week, wow, that's really doable. And that would just feel so good. But the thing I want to I can't let this go is, now speaking personally, the thing that I've had to work kind of against or with, if you, my whole life in my golf and other parts of my life, is I was always Mr. Careful. So don't overswing, all that kind of stuff. But what I find is this, what really intrigued me, Howard, this is what led to you getting you on the show, was it about hitting it further? Was it all about that? Or was it more about being, for Tim, and I'm sure there's other people might relate, of being less careful, swinging with more freedom, swinging with a sense of abandon, as Howard said? Speak to me about that, how we can have an experience of maybe the results in swinging faster that makes golf more fun, and we hit the ball more solid and more accurately.
So there's an example that I use a lot when I teach people, and I've actually started to recommend it for people that reach out about SuperSpeed over email that I can't see in person, and talking about swinging with abandon or swinging freely. And let's say I have a person, I see their golf swing, and I can tell that it's pretty thought-filled and technically focused, and it doesn't look that good. And let's say for the average golfer, the one I see a lot is that the right arm doesn't work the way that we want, right? We come over the top, we get flying elbow, and we extend. I will give someone a golf ball, and assuming they throw right-handed, I just ask them to throw that ball. And all I do is I turn on my phone and I record them throwing the ball.
Are you quick? I think this is important.
No problem.
Are you having them throw the ball from the golf posture position, or more like just an overhand baseball throw?
Any throw that I just tell them to make a throw. I give them zero instruction. I don't even reference golf posture or anything.
Okay. And
then all I do is record it. And 99% of the time, that player, when they throw, the elbow leads.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see that throwing
external
motion,
rotation versus internal rotation is the biggest difference that and again, I'm not a professional, but all golfers that do it right throw it like that, and all golfers that do it wrong still throw it like that.
Yep. So then what I tell the players, I show them the video and they say, okay, well, why did you make me do that? I go, okay, here's your golf swing. Let's look at right arm. And from down the line, we see it goes right. And then we go that way. Yeah. And then when he goes to throw, he just goes, and it's just a beautiful motion. And he goes, okay, well, what's the point of that? I said, well, the point is your brain knows how to use your trail arm properly. I just gave you a ball. You haven't thrown a ball in 10 years, and all of a sudden your sequence is perfect. Don't get over the golf ball and become the Tin Man and squeeze it as hard as you can and then start to do something crazy. And sometimes in lessons, I'll give someone a SuperSpeed club when I can tell that their gears are grinding and smoke's coming out of their ears and say, I just want you to let out a little bit of frustration right now because I can tell you're frustrated, and make 3 swings as hard as you can. I said, I don't care if you fall over. I record those swings. I flip it around, show them the camera, and I say, you're actually making the move you're trying to make here. because you are not thinking about it.
Exactly.
But back to Tim's point about, well, how do we take it to the golf course? The thing I like about SuperSpeed is it's not technique based. And sometimes it just gets people to actually swing the golf club without thinking, which some average players never do. Because the second they get to the range, ball number one has got to be a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden they're making 39 swings a week that are thought free. So then all of a sudden they said, okay, that actually felt kind of good. They can get to the golf course without warming up and going right to the tee, without getting over there and thinking 100 thoughts, and say, you know what? I'm just going to let this one rip.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's really the point that we've been making since you came on, that there's it's not just, and I'm glad that you've made this point so well, that it's not just a physical, training program. That really what it's doing is breaking down the barriers that we have for our perceived ability to swing a golf club, and all the things that recruit in the golf swing to make it go faster are kind of just built into the protocols. And I have found that getting back into it. And I'm just going to take a little umbrage with the numbers you're saying, because when I started last week and I hit the first few swings with the light thing, I wasn't at 117. So, sorry. Because I will say this though, I got some numbers that once I got the monitor, I was like, Jesus, because I was up around 108, 109, 110, which is
Nice.
that's 10% faster than I normally swing it.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, at 61, is it possible for me to get there?
Oh, that's
in
your
my
age,
regular
not your swing speed?
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. But I was surprised. I thought, wow, maybe if I can get this to be around 105, that makes a big difference.
For sure.
Because your carry distance just goes up.
Correct. And I think to your point about at age, what can I get out of this? I think to your point where some people say, well, sometimes I see the speeds I expect, sometimes I don't.
Yes.
As we work through the protocols, my favorite drill out of all 5 levels that we have is the step drill, which is a level 1 drill.
Yep.
Because what that teaches the average person, 45 to 65, who sits for 12 hours a day, is it makes them step. So it forces them to have a shift, to move some mass, to move some pressure.
Is that like a baseball player? Is that like the baseball player kind of stepping into it?
Correct. So you start with your feet together.
Yep.
And you start with the club out in front of you, and you start to swing the club back. And as soon as the club passes your toes, your lead foot makes that step. Right. So as this goes this way, you're going that way. So you get to the top of the backswing, you've already made a step. So we've essentially exaggerated transition, the timing of transition. So now you're making a downswing with pressure already with a lot of pressure already on your lead foot, getting you to drive through, as opposed to the classic hang back, fall back.
Yeah, but you hear about that, through anyone who's played a certain level. We've read the books, we've watched YouTube, and you hear about players saying, okay, he hasn't even finished his backswing and his weight's already moving forward. And people go, how does that happen?
That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. How do I do that? My God,
how do I do that?
And you have to there's two, again, we're back to thinking. And in essence, what you're saying, and what I find so intriguing, we're getting back to an instinctual way that we connect to a target. Mm-hmm. And the reason I was asking about why you had people throw a ball, whether it's from a golf posture, is Fred Shoemaker is actually he's abandoned the club throwing thing.
Has
he
really
moved to ball throwing because for one reason people are too self-conscious. They won't throw clubs. I mean, but it's also not safe. You don't want people throwing. But when you throw a ball, anyways, the key point is it's instinctual.
Right.
And that's what I love about this, and that way of like swinging with more freedom. And just the point I want to make, because I'm intrigued by it, is why do you think this helps people hit the ball more solid? I just want you to address that.
I think it's because it goes back to the ball throwing example, that once technical thoughts come down and tension comes down, it's amazing how much closer a player actually is to being fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
Right. And you can go back, as soon as you see tension, those arms get way too straight. And then on the backswing, the club comes inside and they have a bunch of tension, too many thoughts, and the club's not even parallel to the ground, the backswing, and they're toast. It's amazing when you take the ball out of, because a lot of people say as well, you hear this a lot, well, I make a beautiful practice swing with no golf ball. Then what you're telling us, Mrs. or Mr. Jones, is that as soon as you're not technique based and not tension based, all of a sudden your swing is beautiful. So then don't get in front of the golf ball and let thoughts come in. If you swing it beautiful without thinking about it, hit a golf ball without thinking about it. Get up there and make a swing. That's
well. Listen, a lot of people have heard about these, but now I think they're going to be very excited to go and get the SuperSpeed Golf. Now, you've talked about 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, but the takeaway I hope for some people is you're going to start to see some results instantly in terms of your numbers going up. But in 6 weeks, Ryan thinks you can gain 5%. And again, for most of us, that's a big difference. I'm sort of average to a little bit above average for the guys I play tournament golf against. Like there's, a lot of, guys on the senior am circuit that, hit it pretty far, but not a ton. But I've noticed though that the guys that do hit it far have long syrupy swings that they've had their whole lives, and they seem to swing with some freedom, and that's what SuperSpeed can do. How do people get a hold of you? How do people get a hold of SuperSpeed? What's the takeaway, Ryan?
So a few things. You hit it right on the head. You will see something day one. If you have the ability to quantify it, whether with a radar or a device, I think that is part of the buy-in.
Yes.
Let's say you buy the set, you go to website's easy, superspeedgolf.com or .ca if you're in Canada, superspeedgolf.ca. On social, it's just at SuperSpeed Golf. But let's say you buy the set, and before you buy the set, you decide that you're going to swing your driver in your garage, and your driver comes up, it says 92 miles an hour. You go through the protocol. At the end of the protocol, you grab your driver again, and you swing it once, and you see 98. Like light bulb moment. Ooh, there's something here.
Yeah, man.
I'm onto it. And I think like with like anything, there's always, you got to make sure you warm up, swing with maximum intent. But the three things I referenced earlier, whenever someone says, I've actually committed, but I'm not seeing the gains. Are you training when you're supposed to? Are you warming up? Are you swinging with maximum intent? You check those three boxes. We believe that you're going to increase club head speed 5%, 8%, which I think for a lot of players, like you said, 5% club head speed, that can be a game changer for people.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally.
You're getting home in 2 on par 5s. You're hitting less clubs into the green. You dive down the stats or the strokes gain tunnel. We know the distance is the best way to, or the easiest way to lower your scores.
Well, there's distance, or just move up a couple tees, you bastards. Come on. Do you notice that do you hear the tie-in, Tim? Do you understand the music? REO Speedwagon, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, Ryan, good talking to you, my brother.
Likewise. Thank you very much for the time, guys.
And I hope we'll see you on a university tournament course this fall.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, no
absolutely.
Kidding.
See you, man.
I've got your email. I have a couple of super speed questions.
Please
do you mind
do.
if I just send them to you?
Send them over. Be happy to answer them.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
All right. Very good.
See ya.
Ryan,
Leave meeting.
Leave meeting. Get out of here.
REO Speedwagon. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, I won't rant about REO. They were one of my sort of 80s bands that I loathed, but there you go.
I had the opposite experience this week on the show, Humble and Fred show. We had one of my idols from when I was growing up. I used to love this band, and we had Miles Goodwin of April Wine on.
Oh yeah,
dude, there's so many. I was talking about geeking out. The very first concert I ever saw in Moose Jaw in my life, 1976, was April Wine headlining the Moose Jaw Civic Center, and the opening act was Heart. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we had Miles on for about 40 minutes.
Pure CanCon too. Double barrel CanCon.
Double barrel. And I got to tell you, like between 1971 and 1982, they had 20 top 40 hits in Canada. Like just a machine. Anyway, it was really, really fun.
Yeah. First concert for me, I'll be brief.
Tell me.
April Wine, Centennial Hall, London, Ontario.
What?
April Wine opening for Brownsville Station. one-hit wonders with Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Oh, is that? Yeah. I was trying to think. What was their song? I'll tell you, there's so many songs that I had forgotten. You know, Come Hear the Band, Ooh, What a Night, Could Have Been a Lady. But here's some goofy trivia for you. Their biggest hit, one of their biggest hits, was Bad Side of the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that song? I should have it all. I have it all here, Bad Side.
I wonder how many of their songs got covered.
Well, interesting you say that, young man, because this song was actually written by Bernie Taupin and Elton John.
Seems as though I've lived my life on the bad side of the moon.
I mean, seriously. Yeah, man. It's one of my favorite songs. Anyway, years later, I became a golf spiritual leader and Humble Howard.
Thanks for bringing us back to golf.
And I got I'm friend. I don't know if I've mentioned this a lot, but I'm buddies with the drummer from Triumph. I played golf with him for years.
Gilmore?
And Gilmore.
Yeah.
And through him, I became buddies with Tom Cochran, who's also a very good golfer. And one day, Gil,
on this show. Sorry.
Pardon me?
We need to get Tom Cochran on this show.
Yeah, Tom is good. He's it's funny. I played a lot of golf with Tom, and we were at a charity tournament. This is after knowing this guy for like 15, 20 years. I'm serious. Played at the National with me all the time. And we were at this charity thing, and I was emceeing, and Tom was playing. And so I introduced him. I go, here's a guy I've only really ever played golf with because I'd never seen him in concert. And then I go, here's Tom Cochran. He gets up and he plays a couple songs, and he comes and sits next to me and Fred. And I went, you're Tom Cochran. I said, I just thought you were some douchebag that I golf with, because we call him Doogie, his nickname. I just thought you were some guy that liked talking golf. I sort of had disconnected with the fact
that's funny
that he was Tom frickin' Cochran. Anyways, very good.
Oh,
so through those guys, I had a chance to play a round of golf with Miles Goodwin. Now, I didn't bring it up on the show because we had too many other things to talk about. But I got to tell you, I was more nervous about that because I was such a fan of his when I was a kid. I was just all excited. I was like, Gil says, hey, we're going to play with Miles Goodwin. I'm like, oh, that's great, man. Anyway.
I just tell you my Tom Cochran story really briefly. So he was in Red Rider in the 80s, and that
Fringe.
So yeah, but Red Rider was a band that was they were popular in the States as well. It wasn't just Canada. But anyways, so I was a music critic for the Canadian Press News Agency in the 80s, and I'm interviewing Tom. And I think I'd probably just come back from the golf course, and I was wearing a golf shirt. And he goes, "Oh, you're a golfer? Oh yeah, I'm a golfer. Yeah, I'm a golfer too." We start talking. He plays at it doesn't matter where he played, but anyways, I said, cool. And he goes, just quick thing though, don't mention golf.
Yeah.
In the article.
Yeah.
Because in the 80s, pre-Tiger, golf, not cool.
Not cool. It's funny you say that. I worked at CFNY The Edge from 1989 till 2001. And during that time, I'd won the club championship with the National, played in the Canadian Amateur, never talked about it once on the show. Then Fred and I get hired. We go to this radio station. It was called Mojo Radio, talk radio for guys. Very first shift, I got to start talking about the fact that I was a golfer for the first time on the air at all. Because when you're at the Edge, no one at the Edge wants to hear you're a golfer. I don't have time for the story now, but I think I've told you this off the air that Tom Cochran once broke up a fight between me and Gil Moore on the golf course. 18th tee at the National. Oh, yeah. It was go time, buddy. Oh, yeah.
We got time. We got time for this. It's a podcast.
No, because I got stat stuff to throw. No, but I'll tell you the story sometime. All I remember is in the middle of me wanting to punch Gil Moore in the face, Tom Cochran of Red Rider and Tom Cochran fame is holding me back. I'm thinking, this is fucking surreal, Howard.
Totally, it's surreal.
You're from Moose Jaw. Yeah, I played. Tom is you want to talk about a golf nerd, man. I have the three of us, Tom, Gil, and I, hit a lot of golf balls, a lot of range time with those guys.
Anyone who gets good at anything geeks out on it. So you can imagine a guy who gets that good as a singer, a songwriter, just a musician. They put in their time, and that you bring that type of dedication to anything like golf, you're going to get pretty damn good at it.
I'll be honest with you. Last summer I played with him. I didn't play with him. I saw him on the range at the Senior Am qualifier. We were shooting the breeze there before the round because he plays in those tournaments from time to time. not maybe consistently, but he can shoot a good number. He's got a, I laugh because one year we're at the Nash Invitational. This is only a few years ago, and he was in the group ahead of me. Anyway, I got 2 stories going. So last summer he qualified and I didn't, and I sent him a note. I was so jealous and pissed off. I'm like, "F you, Tom." But he shot like 75 and qualified. But years ago at the Nash Invitational, and the front 9 was over, and we're standing there. We'd all started in the back 9, so we're waiting on the first tee. And I'm talking to Tom. He's in the group, and he doesn't tell. I know he wasn't having a good day because I could see where he was in the golf course. Anyway, the guy that was playing with him kind of walked over me and goes, "Yeah, Cochran's not having a good day." I said, "Well, it's a tough golf course." He goes, "Yeah, I don't think he broke 50. So I didn't bring it up. I'm like, "Hey, Tom. So what's your time like? I know you're always busy. You have webinars and seminars."
No,
and
I could talk golf 9 hours today. Seriously.
All right.
I think somebody's going to phone me today, but.
So I mentioned I had a chance to work with Lou Stagner from Decade. We did a little exchange. He's on a podcast called Hack It Out with Scott Fawcett and a teacher from the UK named Mark Crossfield. And Mark Crossfield's got huge.
Oh, Mark Crossfield's well known.
Huge.
Yeah.
600,000 YouTube followers, whatever. But they do a podcast together.
We're heading in that direction.
Say, yeah, we're on our way. So Lou asked me to listen to the podcast and, give him some feedback. And so he gave me some help with Decade and some discussions about, how to plot your way around a golf course you've never played. And I found it fascinating. But
lovely.
I wanted to share some, because one of the things, and I think it's a good spot for us in terms of the average player. And we've talked about expectations and wondering where we're all supposed to hit it and how good we're supposed to be. So I'm going to give you some numbers and just a couple things I picked out from the Decade, seminar. And
I have to be nervous about getting it right and stuff. So like,
because let's just start with if you were 80 yards from the green. If I were 80 yards from the green, well, let's just do a little fun experiment. You're 80 yards from the green, from the fairway.
Mm-hmm.
What would you normally consider a decent to good shot? Like, just give me feet. 15 feet, 20 feet, 5 feet, 20 feet.
20 feet would be acceptable.
80 yards from the fairway.
Yeah, 20 feet would be acceptable.
So I'll just give you a little background. In the strokes gained world, people know that they've heard the term strokes gained, off the tee, greens and whatever. And basically what it is a way to compare yourself to how the field is doing on average. So if everyone on the first hole is making a birdie and you make a par, you're basically you lost a strokes gain. You're -1. But in order to gain 0 strokes, and what this means is to be just average, to gain no strokes, to just be a sort of neutral, right? From 80 yards from the fairway on the PGA Tour, you gain 0 strokes at 13 feet. That's the PGA Tour. If you're from the rough, their average proximity from 80 yards from the rough is 26 feet. That means you're just average. So look at you and I. We're just decent to not very good. And if we're 80 yards from the fairway and we hit it between 13 and 20 feet, we're like a tour player on that shot.
Wow.
Now, I find I don't know why. Maybe you don't find it as fascinating as I do.
No, I do.
No, I was saying, to me, that's a revolution. It's revelatory,
It speaks exactly what you brought this up a couple of weeks ago around expectations. And so if we have these high level of expectations and we don't live up to them, well, we're going to be disappointed. We might be angry, might even go down this rabbit hole of, oh, I guess I suck and I still need to do this, as opposed to, well, PGA Tour players don't, they hit it to, whatever, 26 feet. And that's okay. So you just get to play with a little degree of a little bit more of equanimity.
Well, and that's why, again, I don't know if this why I'm not being facetious, but the reason I ask is it as interesting to others because I want people to. I've been sending these things to my brothers and some of my friends that are higher handicap golfers because if I'm having a an aha moment around these because I put too much pressure on myself.
Completely.
You do, I do, Rudra does, Ronan does, David, Stephen, all my friends and family. We're putting too much pressure on ourselves. And what Decade is teaching us, in my case, me, is what's a reasonable expectation? Buddy, when you get out to 140 yards, like I got 140 yards to the green, and if I don't hit it in there close, I'm steaming, right? A PGA Tour professional gains 0 strokes at 140 by hitting it to 21 feet. If they're in the rough, guess what? 48 feet is average.
Wow, what a difference.
What a difference. So if I'm at 140 and I'm in the rough and I miss the green or I'm just on the edge, I might go, what's wrong? Why did you pull hug it? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to get out and play again because with these numbers in mind, I'm going to be a lot. The takeaway is this: I'm going to be easier on myself.
Totally. And I think what the key point is here is it's not patently obvious, but I think it's this, is that what you're saying is, let's not be happy with, say, some mediocrity. What you're saying is that with this perspective,
Yes,
you're actually, you give yourself a bit more freedom.
yes.
And I think what'll happen is you're less of riding an emotional roller coaster. I suck. I'm great. All this,
Right.
Because we go these vicissitudes of golf. It's all over the place.
I love that roller coaster image of just going around going, I suck, I'm great, I'm suck, I shit, I'm good, look at me.
But that's just so bang on. I love the way you did that. But the thing is that when we are easier on ourselves, the game becomes easier. And the occasional time you hit a bad shot, and sometimes it turns out okay. The same way we said that you hit a good shot and it doesn't work out so well. Because why? Because that's golf.
Because that's golf. And again, I think I knew a lot of this sort of instinctively, but I am still, and this has been my biggest, I still need to work on this, is not being so hard on myself. And a lot of these statistics that I've been, absorbing now, I realize how hard on Howard I have been with really no good reason. It's like Dameron told me years ago, I'm not good enough to get this mad. And he was right. Because from 100 yards, here's one I'll give you. 100 yards from the fairway, this is the average proximity of all shots, Tour Pro, 18 feet. That's the average. If you're a scratch golfer, which is what I am hoping to be.
You are a scratch golfer. Just
26.4. Wow. That means you're a 6 handicap. So if my sort of zone is 26 to 30 feet, and that's a pretty good shot from 100 yards. So if you're a 10 handicap, what's your proximity expectations from 100 yards? Hit the green.
Exactly.
And pat yourself on the back. Like, good shot, buddy. Like, I think of some of the holes at Glencairn. And I think, why am I upset if I hit it 30 feet short or right or left or long? I'm shitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the thing that's interesting to me about this, again, is that you talk about your hard on Howard. Well, I think most of us, I say this to a lot of people, thank you for confirming your humanity. We all are very tough on ourselves. Again, it's the cliche. Who's our harshest critic? Ourselves.
Yes.
And because we get these stories, this perception that, I'm supposed to do this, and, I suck, and all this. Goodness gracious. When we when we can let go of that, of those stories and the belief system and this harshness that we view ourselves, and it's the way we pummel ourselves and self-flagellate. Can we say that on a family show?
I've already said fuck 3 times on this show. I think flagellate would be okay.
Okay. Anyways, when we stop doing that stuff, we, again, back to what we're talking about with Ryan and what we talk ad infinitum here, is we play with a bit more freedom. Yeah. And gosh, I think that's what this is about, is being able to go on a golf course and just have some fun. And it's not that we hit it willy-nilly or sideways, but we also play better.
Listen, there's a short par 4 at Glencairn. It's on Scotch Block. It's the fourth hole. So about 315. I usually hit hybrid and a gap wedge.
Is that one up the hill?
No. It's the one after the part. I could show it. I mean, my point is, it's a 315-yard hole where I generally have a gap wedge or my 54-degree wedge into the hole between 90 and 100 yards. And if I don't hit it close, I can tell you how many times I've been pissed off at myself because I'm 35 feet from the hole. And again, I'm looking at this now. When that happens from now's on, I'm just going to go, okay, Howard, well, that's about average. You know, forget all the targeting stuff that Decade does, and I think it does a great job. But it's and it's funny, Lou and I had this conversation this week. It really is the mental side of the game that Decade is great at, because knowing these kind of things and knowing, you know, it all comes down to what you just said. It's all about having more fun and being freer and being less, and what I say about being less hard on yourself. The last thing I'll relate to is I'm around the green. Okay. So you and I are, let's say, 10 yards from the hole. We haven't short-sided ourselves. It's just a standard pitch. Now, from 10 yards off the hole, off the green, I would be trying and working and pressing to hit it stiff, to get it right next to the hole. Mm-hmm. And when I don't, I'd be pissed at myself.
Exactly.
Like a lot of us. On the PGA Tour, to gain 0 strokes from 10 yards from the rough, so you're from the fringe, 5 feet 11 inches.
That's astonishing.
6 feet gets you no strokes lost, no strokes gained.
That is astonishing.
Dude, if you're in the bunker on the PGA Tour, to get 0, to be neutral, average, 7 feet 4 inches. So there's me, who sucks, and you, who also, fellow suckage.
With due respect.
To due respect, but we're not very good compared to Justin Thomas. If I'm 10 yards off the green and I hit it to 6 feet, I'd be look at you and go, what's wrong with me today?
Exactly.
Nothing. And I can tell you just from my little practice out at Stan Park, where I can hit a wedge or two.
Stan Park.
You know, I've started trying this stuff. I've started being, okay, I'm 20 yards from that tree. Of these 10 shots, what's my pattern? Yeah, some are close. Some are 8 yards or 8 feet. Some are 15 feet.
Some are stony.
Some are stony. But you know, the thing is, I put so much pressure on myself to practice my short game. And here's the last thing, psychologically. So let's say you hit a decent shot. It's 10 yards away and you hit it to 6 feet, tour average. Then knowing that that's a decent to good shot, it gives you a psychological different approach to the par putt. Because I'll tell you the truth, Tim, if I have a 6-footer for par after I thought I had a chip that was pretty easy, I'd be pissed at myself.
Absolutely.
And it would affect my ability to sink that par putt. But if you watch it on TV this weekend, they're sinking 6-footers for par all the time. That's all they do.
I know, but again, think of the drama that we create for ourselves.
Yes.
And it's really ridiculous. And again, it comes back to our perceptions. This is one of the key things I learned from Fred Shoemaker is he's been talking about awareness forever. He says, and that can take you so far, but if your perceptions are, this is the way the world works. I'm supposed to get it close from 10 yards. Mm-hmm. That's the way the world works. So as a good player, that's what I do. If my reality doesn't meet that perception, well, something's wrong. Yes. I suck. I don't know how to do this, blah, 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 the spiral vortex of death. Mm-hmm. Whereas when our perceptions are, when we free ourselves from that, then we get to operate with a bit more of freedom. And good golf, you can only play good golf when you don't have a whole bunch of tension and you're not living and dying with every shot.
Well, I can tell you, I'm burning through the Decade. It's a 6-month course, and I'm on month 6 in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I've slowed down.
I can imagine, boy. If you were taking if this was a Decade class with Lou Stagner, you'd be at the front of the class, and you'd be bringing him an apple every day.
Oh, I know.
Hi, Mr. Stagner. You look nice today.
It's so funny because at one point he was asking me about, because we were going through the Decade system on a hole, and we were doing the Google Earth thing, and we were mapping out the driving and blah, blah, blah. And he said, okay, so it's 140 yards. What's the Decade modifier? And I just came up with 7. He goes, do you have something in front of you? I went, no, I just have this now.
So if you're a Decade if you're a decade school, would the cool kids take you out behind the superintendent's shed and beat you up?
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you to Jonathan Wong. Next week, we're recording on Wednesday. And we're going to be talking to a guy named John Sherman. He's got a blog called Practical Golf. I mentioned him a few weeks ago. We talked about his 2 out of 3 system where, of the driving, approach shots, and short game, as a good player, to have a decent round, you only need 2 of those 3 to be working. 1 out of 3, as he says, will give you your average round. 2 out of 3 will give you a great round. It's when you have 0 out of 3 working that you have trouble. Again, a psychological trick you could play on yourself. You mean like, I'm not driving it good today, but man, like I'm putting and chipping, and those things can still, be good. So he's on next week, but we're also going to give away some stuff from Jonathan Wong and TaylorMade.
Because it's the PGA Championship.
PGA Championship.
And Rory, we didn't talk about Rory today, but that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, he won last week on the PGA's at, of course, he won the PGA on the last time they played the PGA.
When he had long, kind of curly hair.
Yeah. Anything you want to say as we're saying goodbye, young man? Is there some stuff you want to just tell people to enjoy themselves?
Yeah, I mean, and Ontario people.
Oh yes, the golf thing. Yes.
Tell you what, I've been practicing acceptance. So I have been going on social media and raging at the government because it'll just make me more upset about it.
Can you see what it says there? Gratitude practice.
There you go.
I made a decision about 4:00 yesterday afternoon. I said, you know what? I'm not going to spend the next 3 weeks in a state of rage and disappointment and being pissed off, and it will only end when golf comes back, because what is that going to do for me?
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, Sandy, my dear darling wife, partner, I guess people say these days, is going to London on Sunday. I think I'm pretty close to making a firm decision that I'm going to walk Blue Springs backwards.
Will they let you do that?
Yeah, I mean, apparently all kinds of people are. I heard that, so Thames Valley Golf Club in London, where my brother lives in London, he says that on a lovely day, on a weekend there, he says there are upwards of 25 people on one hole.
Yeah, well, we could talk about that. I mean, my daughter lives across from Trinity Bellwoods Park, and yesterday when it was like 20 for the first time in a few weeks, it was just, packed with people. They just can't have a golf club in their hand. But that being said,
well, they play soccer.
I'm going to try my best to just not... it's like what we talk about on the show. It was like people say, "Oh, I'll be happy if I can, have a good round of golf," or "I'll be happy when I can finally play good." Well, I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to enjoy the next 3 weeks. I'm going to work on, some stuff, and I'm going to do the super speed training, and because I don't want to wait till June 2nd to be happy. I just don't have enough time left in my life,
Hey, at our stage in life, we might be effing dead.
Well, there you go. That's true. Well, what a great way to. What a great way to. Well, that's right. Don't and what we say here at Swing Thoughts is don't wait to be happy, because soon you could be dead. Good night, everybody. Brought to you by Jonathan Wong Apparel Inc. and of TaylorMade Golf, TaylorMade.ca, OConnorGolf.ca, and of course you can see behind me the Humble and Fred Show. Until next time.